Everybody, this is John the Other, obviously, and I'm going to read you something that I just wrote, which I call Why We Can't Be Friends with Leftists. Now, there are millions of reasons to oppose the so-called progressive left, and I'm not really going to go into most of those reasons in any depth in this discussion, other than to mention, the gleeful promotion of racial divide and racially motivated violence by left-wing media, or the competition among left-indoctrinated college students to outdo one another in demonstrations of personal fragility, coupled with an authoritarian urge to censor, or even the seemingly nakedly evil urge to propel and indoctrinate children into selecting sexual mutilation for themselves and then sterilizing those children with hormone treatments in service of wearing temporary sexual identity as a fashion statement. I won't waste your time with any of these issues, not because they are trivial, which they are not, but because there's something else going on that nobody has yet mentioned. The mainstream political left are coming out of their closet. Now, I don't mean who it is they want to have sex with. I could care less about that. I mean they're coming out of the closet with a deeper and a darker secret. Now, on Monday, 19 December 2016, which is I would call this year, although we're now in the new year, like 1 or 2 days in, Russia's ambassador to Turkey was murdered by an off-duty Turkish police officer, which, whatever you think about Russia's military involvement in the ongoing Syrian conflict, was very clearly the murder of a civilian, and it cannot be seen as justified violence even in the reality of a proxy war being waged with Syria. And the New York Daily News ran an article on December 20th praising this murder and calling it justice. I'm not making this up. The author's name is Gersh Kuntzman. And if Mr. Kuntzman was just a lone nutter writing on his personal blog, we could laugh at his stupidity and ignore him. But he's writing for a site with a global Alexa rank of 1,028 at the time that I wrote this. For comparison, and for those people who don't know what an Alexa rank is, MSNBC.com has a rank of 1,957, which, being a higher number, is not as popular as New York Daily News. So Kuntzman is not just a lone maniac, and his editors and his publisher share his views sufficiently that they published his praise for the murder of a diplomat. Of course, the shared ideology of murder enthusiasm within the left is generally reserved for prospective murder victims who are the wrong sort of people. For New York Daily News, it's only appropriate to murder diplomats. For, say, U.S. President Barack Obama and the editors of the New York Times, I guess it's foreign civilians who it's appropriate to murder as long as, they have a family member on a terror watch list. According to the State Department, since 2004, the United States has killed, in Pakistan only, between 2,528 and 3,648 individuals with drone strikes, just in Pakistan, just since 2004. And of that number, between 416 and 948 of those murdered people were civilians. Civilians based on the U.S. State Department's quite surreal definition of civilian, which classifies all adult males as militants regardless of their actual civilian status. In 2012, the author Mark Halperin reported that Obama bragged to some of his own White House staffers that he was, quote, really good at killing people. And in 2013, a White House memo was leaked showing that the Obama administration was using drone strikes to explicitly target civilians, including American civilians. Obama himself had final sign-off on a list of targets for non-judicial execution, which his administration called their kill list. Now, former Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton, also on the left, is reputed to have attempted to use a drone strike against the journalist Julian Assange. The the party of the people doesn't just silence oppositional reporting, they murder them. But it wasn't Hillary or Obama that I was reminded of when I read about Gersh Kunstmann cheering for the murder of diplomatic staffers. I was reminded of a Canadian professor of law and the author of a book which outlined a strategy for women to use performance art as a justification for their murder of their husbands or boyfriends. Professor Elizabeth Sheehy also claimed in a number of radio interviews that she gave promoting her book that for women in abusive relationships it was a better idea to murder their partners than to simply leave that abusive relationship. Sheehy is a professor of law in Canada, and she further claimed that women who commit murder should not be prosecuted, get this, because they are performing a public service, and no, I'm not making any of this up. So the political left is coming out of the closet, and their deep dark secret that they're coming out with is a fetish for murder, and a preference for murder as a tool of public policy. It is my considered opinion that the political left needs to go back in the closet. Thank you very much for listening, and as always, have a lovely day.